My goal for this evening is to give everyone a space to share out their projects. I'm going to use the timer plugin in Zoom just to help us all kind of keep on track with the timing. What that'll do is if you can look to my image tile kind of in your background as you're presenting, you'll see the time kind of next to me overlapped as a layer on my image. It'll also make a little noise at the end. We're going to have groupings of three presentations. I've tried to group them together thematically just to kind of give us a good breaking point to then be able to ask questions, delve in to give feedback and observations. Yeah, and that's kind of the plan overall. I think what we'll do, we'll give it another minute and then we'll go ahead and hop in and get started.
Can I just jump in real quick and say I'm so
Please.
excited. I'm so excited to see your presentations, you guys, because I have not really been following along this semester with the capstone. So I can't wait to see. This will be my first look at your projects. I'm really excited. So good luck to everybody presenting. And thank you for everybody who's joining us, former students and a current student as well.
Great. Who's the current student? Alex, I don't think we've met before. Are you Alex current? Cool. Welcome.
Hey guys,
Welcome.
joining from the car.
No, no worries. Thank you for joining in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'll edit this down and then share it out with Kirsten, and we'll then share it out so everyone has a link to be able to share their segment if they'd like to reuse that. It'll be an unlisted video on the IDN program YouTube channel. Hi, Caitlin. Okay, so we're gonna start it off with Savion's project. Savion, go ahead and feel free to get set up.
Yes, sir. I'm going to share my screen right now. Let's see. Can everyone see? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So for my project, I decided to do my project on point guards. And one, I did it because currently the men's basketball point guard for Quinnipiac. And basketball has just been a passion my whole entire life. I plan on, playing it as long as I can. And then obviously when I'm done, I plan on teaching others because it's just something that I genuinely love. And I know that I'll be really good at and be able to give a lot of information about. So for my website, uh, this is my homepage. I decided to name it courtvisionleaders.com because they're point guards, and I just thought the name was really creative. And for my homepage, I have here the Welcome to PG Leadership 101. At PG Leadership 101, I believe that being a better point guard, being a better leader helps you become a better point guard. And the best point guards to play the game are also the best leaders. Whether you're playing or looking to take your game to the next level, or a coach dedicated to developing your team's floor generals, this course will provide you with tools to become kind of leader who inspires, motivates, and drives success. And after the homepage, I decided to add a picture of myself. So anyone who's watching or learning, they know that I also played the game. I know that it's a lot easier to respect the person that's teaching when they have played the game versus someone that just studies it, because I have the experience as well. So after that, I have what it's about. PG Leadership is a course designed to transform point guards into better leaders on and off the court. As a point guard, your job requires more than just running plays. The point guards are the leaders of the team. And through this course, you'll learn how to develop mental toughness, communication skills, emotional intelligence, and decision-making abilities that set great point guards apart. After that, I decided to include this page of what is a point guard before I go into the course. And this page briefly just shows what a point guard is. It defines a point guard for those who don't know if you're watching this. And it talks about the characteristics of a point guard. The point guard being a great playmaker, the court vision and the basketball IQ, the leadership, the defensive responsibilities, and being a facilitator. After this, I have my course, and for my course, after looking at a few things, I decided to make it smaller and making it into 2 modules so I can focus on more. And module 1 is on-court leadership and decision making. And in this module, I didn't upload my video yet. I was having problems uploading my video, so I'm gonna try to fix this. But I have my module right here, and basically in this one, lesson 1 is designed to introduce point guards to the essential leadership responsibilities that they hold on the court. And it focuses on the point guard's role as a floor general, emphasizing leadership, decision-making, and communication skills. And in this lesson, it will highlight how the point guard sets the tone for the game by controlling tempo, making smart decisions, leading teammates through on-court actions and communication. And in this module, basically, I have my learning objectives right here to let the learner know what they will be learning. And this is it shows it understands the point guard's role as the primary leader, recognize the importance of controlling the game and tempo, develop and understand how to communicate effectively, and reflect on personal leadership strengths and areas for improvements. After that, I have the key topics covered and basically goes over the concepts of being a floor general and defines everything about that. And also gives questions of what it means to be a floor general, allowing the student or the learner to, have their own perspective and idea of what a floor general is. Then I talk about the importance of decision making, controlling the tempo of the game, effective communication, and there's a lesson. And in the lesson, they have to watch a highlight of the NBA point guard and basically talk about how they communicate with their teammates, what decisions they make, and how point guard controls the pace of a game, etc. And then they have a homework assignment, which is a self-reflection on leadership. And then it gives a conclusion on the lesson as well. And then I included additional resources that have well, I have to get the PDFs, but links to everything that they can look at that would help them learn it more and understand what they're learning basically. And then I have this for the next 3 lessons. I have the mastering communication, building trust with teammates, and the same exact thing for this as well. And then I also have it for this lesson, staying calm and making smart decisions in high pressure situations. And basically I have this for all 4 lessons, and that's all I have as of right now. I still have to add a little bit more to the videos, and then this is basically my website.
I love how it's evolved, Savion. It's great to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. We'll do Richie's presentation, and then we'll open it for questions in the first 2. Thank you, Savion.
Good job, Savion.
I'm sharing my screen now. Everyone see? All right, so my name is Richie. This is my 2nd year as a grad student at QU. And I'm also a part of the men's basketball program. For my capstone project, I decided to create a course just on the basics of exercise and nutrition. I think this is important because I think in order to live a healthy lifestyle, people just need to be informed on what it is to be able to exercise and know what you're putting into your body. And the goal of this course is just, like I said, just to inform people, just so they have a baseline of what to do when they're creating their workout schedule, their nutrition timeline, stuff like that. First and foremost, each module has readings along with articles, just in case students may want to they're not really they're more visual learners more than just reading off a long article. Each module has a reflection, which just ensures that students are going through the readings and videos. Each module also has a discussion board, so that they can apply what they're reading into like their real life situation. Each module also has a quiz, so that it ensures that they're getting all the information they need and they're learning everything and that everything is clear to them. I'll go into this quiz just to show the format of it. And after they answer a question on the quiz, it will give them feedback, whether they got the answer right or wrong. Okay, so module 1 is just the introduction. Students will just have a discussion board just to get to know each other and just explain their daily routines and how if they prioritize 3 meals a day, if they exercise and whatnot. The instruction also has a instructor introduction for myself, so students know my background. Module 2 gets into exercise and just the basic types of exercise, such as aerobic, anaerobic, and calisthenics. There's other types of exercise, such as Olympic lifting and bodybuilding, but I think that's just too complex. I want to keep the topics as simple as possible. Module 3 gets into just the basics of nutrition, such as macronutrients, hydration, processed and unprocessed foods, and healthy food substitutions. I think these are just very basic and important things you need to know when it comes to nutrition. Module 4 gets into body and mind recovery. I think this is very important to include because I think being able to recover from exercise is very important and being able to see results. And module 5 is just a reflection of the course. Students just have to write a 500-word essay, just talking about what they learned throughout the course and how they're going to implement what they learned into the future. And along with that, I added a workout planner students have to complete at the end of the course. And I think adding this assignment will allow students just to give them a little bit more motivation to follow through with everything that they've learned throughout the course. And that's pretty much it for now for my project.
Thank you for sharing. It's great to see it evolve into the actual Canvas site and all of those pieces. Thank you, Richie. What initial questions are from the room? Yeah, or comments rather.
It's so fun to see Savion's from when, I don't know, I can't remember which one it was when he presented, when Kevin gave some feedback and it was like just the bones of it and just see the final kind of vision. And wonderful. Great. It looks super great. I loved it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and just being in the video class with you, I know those videos are going to be amazing when those get up there. They'll tie in so nice.
Cool.
So well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think my feedback is more for Richie than it's for Savion. I mean, I like what you did, Richie, but I see your project as being almost like a badge earning class, like a little bit higher level, in that you could almost market that as a series of units, not modules, that you can almost go through and really develop them a lot more. I think the module system, from working in Canvas and doing this for a long time, it kind of holds me back. So I think if you took your modules, made them into units, you can have a lot more content in them. And then a benefit for your program is people like me who just got a rowing machine and trying to get fit, right? Someone like me might subscribe to your course if it was badge earning. So I could take different levels and I could learn like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then work with you through the process. I think it'd be really cool, and maybe even a way to communicate with you directly through. Because your formative assessment is just me doing things, and the summative is writing an essay. I would like to have some dialogue with you during the process, because I know nothing about being fit, and I'm trying to get fit and I know nothing about it. So when I was pulling up my Facebook Marketplace buying all my stuff this week. I was thinking about your project and how I need to get on top of that. So good job.
Thank you.
I'll make a quick comment for each of you, and I don't want to compare the two of you, but I think you can learn something from each other's project based on what I'm going to say. So Savion, I really liked how you were branding it with yourself, because I think we've talked about this before, like branding, the branding that you have to go through like as an athlete. And I think that's a selling point when you're trying to say like, hey, I know all about this. I have this experience. I played Quinnipiac basketball, wherever you play after this, and use that to kind of sell your product. So I liked seeing the images of you, and I would just keep adding like more and more and more of that, because I think that's a good piece. And Richie, I think yours has a lot of the interactive parts. So there's the discussions and there's the quizzes and there's a lot of the things that you have them doing. So like Kevin was saying, like I like the doing and engaging the audience, because I think that's a way to keep them coming back and doing more. And I think it showed a really good understanding of who you're trying to talk to, and these are people who you want to keep coming back. And the videos as well, like saying that you don't want to put like a lot of readings or like dense things to read about, but instead linking to shorter videos. So I think those are the strengths of both of your projects. And then I'd love to see you incorporate both of those things into each other's projects, because I think that can take them to the next level. But good work, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to parlay on that a little bit with what Kristen's saying. Like Savion, I think in the beginning of the semester I did post like teach me how to dribble or shoot a basketball. I really felt, and I still feel like some of the stuff that you're talking about is very high level. And for me, it's very hard to conceptualize what you're trying to accomplish by being at the very top at that 30,000 feet. If you choose to pursue this or go in that direction, like seriously, like I told you what I did during the class. Like I wrote a paper and a lot of steps, right? But that process of just, if you could teach me how to dribble a basketball, you win. You know what I mean? And I would look for you for that skill. Like if I ever had the need to find out how to do anything recreational other than kayak, I would definitely call you on this. But the direct advice I'm giving is when you think of these big ideas, find a very small part and you'll find that design process is very, very long. I'm really impressed because the feedback that I gave was very direct on the second week and then on the 7th week, and to see what you put together is amazing. So great job, man. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the feedback as well. I took it into consideration.
Thank you both for kicking us off.
Can
We'll
I just
have a little
make
bit of
one
time.
quick
Yeah, go
comment?
ahead. Paul.
Just
Yeah.
on, and they were both great. I thought the visuals on your Savion were outstanding. Everything was kind of laid out in a very thoughtful way, I thought, from a design standpoint, as well as I like the fact that both of you have some reflective activities that you've included in there, which I think is important beyond just the multiple choice, which I know, Richie, you had both, which I thought was great. And Richie, I love the fact that you give them some application that they have to do after the course in terms of the diet planner, and maybe even don't do it now, obviously, because Capstone's over, just celebrate. But having like a check-in 3 months later, like now that you've mapped out this diet, what are the results after 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever, as a extra little piece on top of that. But awesome job, both guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Okay, so we're going to kick it off to the second block, which is focused around learning, training, and education resources. And kicking us off with that section is going to be Nikki's project.
All right. Give me a minute here to get set up.
Yeah, take a moment.
Okay. Okay, are we good?
It hasn't started sharing yet. There we go.
Okay, am I in? I kind of zoomed in. Is that helpful? Can you sort of see? Hopefully. Yeah, we're good.
I think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Okay. So I did my capstone. It's the first time I've worked, first of all, in an authoring tool. So I worked in Rise 360 because I'm working for a small company, and they're using Reach, which coordinates with Microsoft Teams. And so I'm doing a fair housing course for them to meet compliance, but also just for great customer service. So my course starts out with a little introduction of what it is, and then we're basically staying in the introduction today because I'm continuing to build this out after my capstone. So we have a deadline down the road in the next 3 months here. I'm going to finish up the rest of the modules, but We have our introduction, and that's what is fair housing. Let me make sure. Sorry, just a minute. I'm going to make sure I'm in the right. I think I'm in the right view. Yeah. Okay, so you can come up here and start the course, the learner can, or you can go to the first module and start course. And in all the modules, I have the objectives. Adult learners tend to reference them. So just kind of keep it as a roadmap. And then I start off with just preconceived bias and engagement question response. And then they can just do it to see and get instant feedback of like, oh, maybe what I'm thinking about fair housing is not really right, or some of my ideas are not right. Also include information notes to highlight right in here, like important concepts or reinforce information that we've covered before, and then little progress blockers just to that way the content's not just listed, overwhelm the learner, but instead we're blocking and saying, hey, like get through this, move on to the next thing. So they can click I understand, and then another section of the learning is opened up for them. So part of why we just have what we have is because I've created all the videos and After Effects. I'm going to turn off volume here. They don't have to hear me talking twice. Okay. And so they just, each one, it's like they're generally, this one's 36 seconds. They're generally under a minute, but they're introducing contextual understanding and introduction of the topic. And then following up with the important kind of hits, the points that we went over in that little section. And then they can move on to their next section. And you can see they have, your little, what did you call it, Adam? Sorry, the name, but your learner knows where they're at through the process of learning. So, okay, so we move on to the history of fair housing. And again, in the same format, just so that the learner knows what to expect when they hit each little module. Thought-provoking quote, just start a reflection on the topic. Another After Effects video on the history of fair housing. And kind of runs them through that. And again, to keep engagement, we're just hitting the topics within like 38 seconds there and introducing it. And then some of this based on such great feedback from Adam and Kevin on just going back to myself going back to my objectives. I did a little on this one, like side-by-side comparison to engage critical thinking. So again, reinforcing the introduction, the contextual understanding, and then reinforcing with like activity and actual hands-on activity. And then a little follow-up question to retain the content, and they can submit and continue. And we go into protected classes. Still going to redo this video because I'm not completely happy, as I've discussed that before, but left it for now. And to introduce the protected classes. And then they can also do an interactive, which that again allows for multiple options in learning the audio and the visual. So you just click on it, and again, and then you get a little description that will play as well. Okay. All right, and then to move on these, you can match each. I did a little matching, so we can match each one with the 7 protected classes. And again, if they get it wrong, then they get instantaneous feedback, and then submit, and we'll say, oh, wait, you have to please answer the question to continue. So again, little blockers to encourage focus and keep on the current learning. Okay, so I'm just going to move past it though for the sake of this presentation. So again, objectives, now we're into HUD and kind of the history, how HUD came along, how HUD helps with fair housing. Some people are familiar with how the federal government is involved in fair housing, and so how it's a much bigger topic than just maybe what they think locally or what they might have an idea in their head about what fair housing is. So again, to hit those preconceived conceptions and tried to mix it up with a lot of different visuals, from animation to okay, sorry, that was my music. To different animation, going from animation to images, and again, just all for the purpose of engaging the learner, just so they're not doing another corporate training and falling asleep, but that hopefully it's really connecting to their existing knowledge and also like relevant to them, so that it's easier for them to retain. again, thought-provoking quote, timeline to kind of put the information they got previously kind of in their head in order of how that transpired, and then they can continue. And then we added state fair housing laws, and that's not something that they really, it's not really in the objective other than just like an awareness. And I think, I'm not sure, maybe Kevin mentioned it or maybe Adam, but the ability just to go research, that can be one of the objectives, right? That they have the ability to go research on their own states' fair housing laws. We do properties in multiple states, so it's going to be different per state. So providing that, the PDF for the different states' fair housing laws that they can reference. Sorry, I hope you're getting all this, but just ask questions because I'm trying to rip through the whole thing here. So hopefully I'm not going too fast. And then next is what they'll learn about upholding their role in fair housing. So we'll click here to do that. And now this really goes into the more something that would be followed up with like a supervisor later as well. So it's like an introduction and will be followed up with some hands-on training, but another video, okay, of the property's role in fair housing. So how do they personally interact and engage with fair housing? And more than just, this really hits more than just the residents they have, but prospective residents, and all the little ways that they can maybe not exactly meet fair housing standards and not even realize it. So I'm really trying to, in this section, understand that fairly, equally, consistently concept to make sure that they're hitting on all different levels. So again, this is just a little, another After Effects animation. I hope to get faster at these, but for now, that's what it is. So again, a little click off they can do just to make sure they hit those 3 points and they're like, yeah, I understand that it's about these 3 principles and those principles carrying on throughout. So move on and then finish this introduction of fair housing with an actual scenario, or to give them feedback on like, how does this work if it's actually like a situation that they would have. And I've been working with the VP. This is a very small property management company. And so I've been working with him. And so we've gone back and forth on like how can we actually get this as close as possible to something that they might deal with from a prospective resident. And so they can go through and have a question, what's happening? Don't know what to do. And then she said, oh, she should just do this. Oh, wait, no, that's not. So again, instant feedback and a little idea, a little explanation then of, oh, let's try again. And when they get it right, then the actual feedback of like what they do is, what they're doing is correct. And then, and just like summary of that, the key to that, fairly, equally, and consistently, and what that means. And the rest of the modules will also kind of come back to this. It'll hit, each one will kind of hit, but just as a little summary in this section of how it affects prospective residents and that very first contact and how they're a part of that. So the summary of that. So, and then in the next section, they will go into discrimination. So
I love how the cases came out, Nikki. That's really cool.
I'm sorry, what?
How the case of them and
yes.
how they would actually interact. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm really happy you saw that.
So in the next sections, so I have, then they move on to understanding discrimination, understanding harassment, reasonable accommodations. And these are much smaller. Actually, they'll be even shorter than this kind of general introduction, but they're more targeted. And so, and then those will have, each one will have a scenario and a summative, like a little summative assessment that they'll actually test out at the end. So that's it. And I still clearly, I have a ways to go, but learning the authoring tool was a big project, and then trying to get all the After Effects videos was fun.
You've made huge progress. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Seeing your project through, it's been cool to see the development.
Oh, good. Thank you. Well, thank you for your help. Your help has been just outstanding. Very helpful. Yeah.
So we're going to do Kevin's presentation, and then I'll share the video from TJ. I think people will be intrigued by these 3 kind of together, and then we can kind of do some feedback at that point and give some questions. Yeah, so go ahead, Kev, take it away.
All right, so I'm going to ask permission. I have 1 powerful video and 1 really intense video, so I want to show those before I give my explanation. It's about maybe a minute. Is that okay? And they're with sound, so if you have your headphones on, lower your volume. Okay. All right. So A Paddle for Hunger is actually a nonprofit. I developed this course, actually this nonprofit in this program. And I created the concept called recreational accessible affordances. So I want you to watch this. If it plays.
Okay, so this is completely off script. I was telling a story about something completely different, trying to make this happen, and something just happened. A woman rolled up on this cage on one of those motorized bikes and didn't have any food. And I went in my car, I gave her 2 big things of pasta, and she looked at me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I supply all of the paper products for this, for the Saturday lunch and for the meetings and stuff." And she's looked at me, she's like, "That's awesome." She's like, "But why are you dressed up?" I said, "Well, I'm a kayaker." She's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, and again, this is completely off script. This is completely unique and real as it's happening. So I talked to her for like 30 seconds, explaining to her how I take people kayaking and use that money to buy the plates and stuff. And she said, "I've never come here when there wasn't a cup."
That is what I do. And that's what this program did for me. It created the Paddle for Hunger. This video is about me talking about the product, but this video gives you a good idea. And this is kind of loud. So if you're wearing headphones, please turn your volume down. So I decided a while ago, I had some issues and I was taking care of those issues by volunteering. And one of the challenges that I had was, what do I do with the stuff that I have? And I'm very afforded. I have multi-$1,000 kayaks. I don't long for anything. I own a home, 3 dogs, cat, wife. And it hit me one day when I was volunteering, when this dude's like, "Yo, how much was that kayak on the roof?" And I really smug said $1,400, and he just kind of laughed at me. And he's like, "I can eat for a effing 6 months with that." And it dawned on me. So I made this. What this is a whole program done in Canva. And Canva is very difficult for me because it's not Canvas. It's something completely foreign. It's very hard, very cumbersome, right? So I built out an entire hybrid course that uses online, Zoom, and on-water instruction, has hybrid goals, and it has a navigation course structure. It talks about PFDs, paddles, and I actually built the competencies through pre-knowledge checks. So I check you ahead of time, and then we go through and we actually go through a whole patterned and response-based LMS in Canva. So everything you see, I built. It talks about videos, and the videos are going to be, give you an example, like all the video stuff has an intro, and I got a guy at work at Rutgers to do all of the on land, like modeling of the kayak, like the pre-work ahead of time.
Nothing's on
And then-
screen right now, Kev, just so you know.
Really? What the hell just happened? Ah,
It's just your
Sorry.
desktop window. You're good.
sorry about that. Sorry, my computer's acting funky. Okay, let me go back. So anyway, so what I did was I took this LMS, I made the videos, and that was embarrassing. And I created a whole series of instruction content that was based off of things for kayaking, with the idea that I would take afforded people kayaking, and then I would use their money for social gain to buy 4 things: paper cups, paper plates, napkins, and soap. That's all I buy. That's all I give. So I built these competencies based off of knowledge checks from the American Canoe Association instruction. And then I had a couple of my coworkers get involved and actually model some of the on-land experiences, kind of like the preparation stuff before they go kayaking. Then I came in and I did the on-water stuff where I actually went on the water with my 360 camera and recorded myself doing some paddle strokes in a recreational kayak, sea kayak, and a very basic kayak. I used the knowledge from the American Canoe Association in a very conditional way to break it down so it's very engaging. Each segment has a couple things. It has a pre-segment, it has an about the stroke or about the piece, has an engagement section, which is an engagement it's an engagement just with that action, and then it has a land exercise that goes through. So cool part about this is let me get to the fun stuff, to the spins, because they're all pretty much the same. I used the same pattern. I created one piece, just duplicated it from place to place, and then just did it. What's interesting about this is when I did these, this was actually pretty fun. I actually went on Marketplace and bought a aerobic spinner and tried to do the paddle strokes like in a yoga position, and it was very difficult. So I was out in the middle of the cold the other day doing those. The way the structure works is actually kind of interesting because this is actually two separate pieces. The first, it gets you over to back to all my projects. I have two different pieces in place. I have the registration, which is the intro module. And with the intro module, you come to my website, you come to pdl400.com, which I also built, and then you go to the website, and then on the website, you go through, and it just gives you an introductory piece, and then you meet with me over Zoom. We talk about it, and then if you want to do it, then you make a $50 donation, and that's non-refundable. That goes right to my charity. And then that goes to a company called QGive, and then QGive keeps track of all of my donors or how much they've given me and what they do. So it's legitimately a charity is what this is, using a charitable resource going forward. That money comes in, and then you come back out, and after you go through this process, you come back and you get a competency evaluation, and then you're also sent a link to this course, and the course looks something like this. This is the course learner view. So you see everything you see here all the way through. You just step through and you go through the individual pieces, and then you watch all the videos. I don't know where it's coming from. I guess I'm done. Don't give me like 2 seconds more. So you go through the course, you go all the way through, and this is really important. There's a knowledge check halfway through, which defines whether or not you want to continue. So at that point, I have an assessment, and the assessment is used from a Google form, and it's a legitimate assessment. It summarizes what you should know from steps 1 to 4, and then you do the more advanced things if you continue, and then the wrap out is a 30-minute interview with me. And then if you want to continue again, we have that conversation, and I have two options. One is a 2-hour float paddle where I charge one set of money, and if you want to do the full instruction, it's a little bit more. I'm all inclusive. Everything that I do, because it's a nonprofit, I was able this year alone, I was able to leverage nine boats for under $4,000. I was able to buy all my hardware, all my gear. I have expenses, of course, but it's legitimately a charity, and it's pretty cool. That's what I put together in my 2-year capstone project for this moment now, and that's what I do.
Well, again, Kev, it's been so cool to see how it's evolved over the semester. And I'm sure for many of the others in the room, seeing it through the program and seeing your growth with that too, it's great to see it get so far along. I think we're going to tweak something at this point. I was originally planning to show TJ's video. I want to be mindful of time, so I'm kind of keeping it close to an hour. I wanted to open up for questions for Kev and Nikki at this point, and what the room is thinking about that way.
I will say one thing. When Adam and I talked at the beginning of the semester, I was going to use Canvas, but he wouldn't let me skate out that easily. So I used Canva, and it was very difficult. It was very hard. I mean, the layering is unbearable. The layout's unbearable. Nothing copies the same twice. I struggled with it up till about 2 hours before we were here. In fact, I actually removed content from it because it just wasn't going to work. So I had to kind of say, okay, what is my level? How far can I go? I used a design decision to not include a mid stroke, like a mid activity, just because it wasn't going to work. So I made a decision. And this program's live. I mean, I have people buying into this already establishing themselves for next year, and it's working. It's making someone else money. And just to clarify, I donated 7,000 10-ounce paper cups, 3,000 Chinette plates, and 18,000 napkins. And this program, with the knowledge from my Paddle for Hunger, with the knowledge from this program, reaffirmed that cups are access, plates are foundational, and napkins are dignity, and soap cleans up. And that's what I do.
So cool. And the Canva piece was kind of neat too, because I actually didn't know Canva has this new LMS kind of thing in it. So when Kev came to me with the adapting it from using Canvas, I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Encouraged him.
Yeah,
questions.
Only
Yeah,
other thing I'll say about Canva is that there is a fee associated with it, so I can't take it live until March because I got to pay a fee per student per month. So when they register, I got to keep them on the board and get them off quickly. Otherwise, it's $10 per students per month, so it does add up pretty quickly. So I have to watch my registrants for sure. All right, I'll be quiet now.
Kevin, it's amazing. It's such a labor of love, and you can tell that. It's just, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. So well done.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a quick comment just to Kevin. I've seen other students not be so satisfied with Canva as well. This is Francis here. You might want to look into, if you haven't, Talent LMS as a platform. If you haven't already looked at that, I don't know if I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, the cost is one thing. I mean, I can do Canva for $10 a person per month, which is manageable. There are some other systems that I looked at. It's just the upfront cost to even get in the door was like almost $2,000. I can't afford that. That's more than my budget annually, so I can't afford to pay for someone to come in and not make any money off it. But yeah, I looked at a lot of options, as Adam can attest. And on top of that, this is gonna be a TED Talk.
Yes, congrats on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in, and again, I'm going to try not to compare, but it's hard for me not to compare. But the thing that I noticed in both your projects is just how your styles have really carried through both of them. So Nikki, I know your motion graphic style, and you can see that in all your videos. It's very consistent and it's super engaging. I like how, like you said, it's not the traditional corporate training that you'd have to sit through. Like, it was much more engaging and interesting, and I think would appeal to people. I would love to sit through that training much more than the training that I usually have to sit through. So it was cool to see your style, carry through the whole project. And the same with Kevin throughout the program. Like you said, this really has been like a 2-year-long project, and just the graphics that you use and your style and approach that you use for your content. So both of your projects felt like very you, which I think was a cool thing to see. And I'm really impressed, both of you, on the use of your multimedia to engage students. A lot of it is really short and focused and targeted. And the other thing that impressed me was that both of you tried a new system in the Capstone course. So I hadn't seen Canva used in that way either. Kevin, I'm sorry, it was frustrating, but it is interesting to see what, like, the direction that they're going and what it might be capable of. And Nikki, you have such a strong technology portfolio as it is, but now adding Rise in there, I think, is really going to make you level up, your marketability. So fantastic job, both of you.
Yeah, and
I was so excited to do. Oh, sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No, I'm saying a lot. Go ahead.
Oh, I was so excited to do Rise, and anybody who's in that, I mean, it's just so intuitive and so fun. And if, I can't remember the name of it. Professor Burkitt, maybe you can help me, but the other classes I took through the other master's program here, okay.
Yep, the ICM program. Yep.
Okay, so that's going to be in my suggestions always for they make you do a WordPress blog. And so every time you have an actual module you go through, you do like the info you learned, you do your own stuff, you research, and then you do your own stuff, like in a very formatted way. So I did that twice. That was so helpful because I told Adam I got into Rise, and I went, oh my goodness, it's like working in WordPress. It's amazing. And so it just translated, and seeing Canvas and seeing my son work in Canvas, because I've been, peeking in on his college stuff. Like, what are you doing? How's this working? Where do you go here? Videos and all, and it's all kind of the same block thinking almost. So it was great.
Yeah, one of the things I did was I wanted to use software that was free or available. I'm very, my word of the day is afforded, right? I work at Rutgers, so I have whatever I need. I had access to Adobe Stock for 2 years for free. So I've been downloading hundreds of images, making thousands of files. Like I probably have 200 graphics on this thing, but I use Camtasia for everything. I didn't use anything other than Camtasia, and I hacked everything out of it. The hardest part that I had about using Canva was the accessibility issues. And that really bothered me because when I was making all of my images, it kept looking at my individual lines as being a non-accessible image, and it required an alt text, and it wouldn't accept it as being what they call it, like demonstrative or decorative or whatever. So I actually had to go through and copy and paste that 96 times in the first 2 modules and just gave up. I'm like, I'm not going to worry about it now. I need to get this done. And then also, I didn't find out the closed captioning feature was live until last week, and I had to go back and do closed captioning on all the videos. And it was auto-generated, but it's not great. So I still have to pull those files, auto close caption, and do them again. You know, but for pulling something off, I think anyone in this class can attest, pulling something off in any magnitude in 15 weeks is a big feat, right? So accessibility is super important to me for a lot of reasons. And as I have time for this to breathe a little bit, I'm going to be going back to the accessibility issues. And if not, this is one other thing too. Like for my project, I wanted it all encapsulated. I want everything in one space and not have a lot of videos on YouTube or other places, because if they're getting it for free. So I needed it to be closed. But what I didn't count on was that Canva required a certain amount of bandwidth and a certain amount of money to host those videos. So I ended up having to buy an account, even though I should get it as a nonprofit for free. So it's that game. How do we play it and what do we do? And the last thing I will say, and Nikki, you can attest, right, with media, labeling is critical. Labeling what you have, the media assets, right? Well, in Canva, you can't label anything. It just comes in as blank timeline. So my video assets were all put into a container, and all it was timestamped. So I had to go through and I had to look at the time length back in Camtasia at the export level and figure out which piece was which piece, and it stacks it like this. It was maddening. It was maddening. So you guys got your money out of me.
Thank you both. Yeah, this is wonderful. Last comments, questions to Nikki and Kev. Nikki, I love how you leaned into the After Effects piece. Like those videos came out really nicely, and to see that also carry through both aesthetically, this was mentioned, but also just kind of using those skills that way, I thought worked really well. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, great job. I didn't want to not make a comment to you guys. So nice
Thank
work. All right. Great visuals on both of them. And I'm surprised that you can't call Canva or somebody and say, hey, I have a nonprofit, show them the paperwork and allow you to get
Yeah.
some leeway in terms of the enrollment, because I know from just a business standpoint, it's really hard to recruit people to do stuff, especially, and that's just people that are doing it, not for a nonprofit. So
This is one of those ones where I looked at the risk reward. I'm like, I'm going to pay for it for 2 months. The reality that I needed to get through today, and then suck it up and pay $60. And then I'm going to re-pursue the nonprofit aspect of it probably in January. But for now, the goal was I needed the bandwidth, needed the space. I don't know what I'm getting from the nonprofit parts. It could be less or more. So I just sucked it up and said, hey, it is what it is. I'm going to pay for this. But I do that with everything too. Like if I need it, I buy it. It is what it is.
And Adam, I wasn't aware that the music was actually your timer. So when it went off
Oh,
several times, I was like, does somebody have music like that is not on mute?
Sorry
That's so
about
rude.
that. It is possibly the most dramatic music I've ever seen in a timer. It like feels like I'm on a game show or something. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I think
No,
I
it's like the
actually,
Academy Awards when they music people off the stage,
So it's actually called "And the Winner Is," which
okay.
must be what that's
And the winner
gesture.
that is so funny. I said that out loud. I went like, there's music, but it's not mine.
I didn't even catch that and put that together. I should have said something out
I
loud.
didn't connect. Oh gosh.
It's all good.
All good.
Thank you both. Yeah, thank you all. I really appreciate everyone taking their time out tonight. I want to be mindful of people's time. I have TJ's video. If people can hang around to check that out, we can give her the recording to this as well. Let me see if I could fire that up. It was fairly short. It was way under time. Okay, let's see if this works.
TJ, and this is
Can you all hear
my
that?
net workshop. I'm sorry I couldn't be at the Zoom meeting today, but things got rescheduled because of a certain someone needing surgery. So this is my net workshop. It's for native English teachers here in Korea specifically. It is not for the Korean English teachers or the co-teachers or the coordinators. It's for the wonomin, the foreign teacher in public schools. We have our own job. It's very unique in the system, and so it doesn't always have the same level of training that others get. So because this is for a community of practice, I've scrolled down to feedback. This is very community based, right? People can ask questions, comments, they can give corrections because information changes between offices of education, contracts, guidebooks yearly. They can request others. I really want them to feel a sense of community with it and that they can have an impact on it, because that will encourage them to actually learn more and interact with it instead of just seeing it as, oh, it's a required workshop. And I'll get into more of that in a minute. So you can see the modules, say, on the desktop, right? There's our NICE. These are very technical. Like the NICE guide is very much just print out and follow it. Here we print out PDFs because that's a main way we interact with our resources here. You may have different computers in different schools, and you can't always just connect to the internet all the time. And so it's useful to just open a folder. There it is. It's right in front of you. And it's based on feedback that I've gotten that people just print out and make binders of it, especially for if they're getting replaced with someone, so that they know that the next person has that knowledge. Not being connected to an Office of Education is also great for my cross-cultural discussion because you can add a lot more nuance. Usually at workshops, it's there are no problems, just follow Korean culture, when there's a lot more nuance to it, right? There's people who complain about chewing with your mouth open. That's normal in Korea. There's people who complain about people constantly making comments about their body size and their weight. And like, that's a nuanced conversation to have that we need to mention. There's xenophobia and discrimination. And typically at workshops, we're not supposed to bring that up. So there's the chain of command that people can follow, and they can just take a look at it and go. They don't have to keep searching for my resource constantly. I'm not in this for the analytics. So there's outside the school. I can do guidebooks from across the country and include it. Here, I'll actually look at this whole module here. There's the README, right? There's the key terms, the schooling levels, where nets stand in this. Then ViewMe goes straight to a YouTube channel, and that way people can just go clicking on that. It's very modular in that way, so that I don't have to worry about embeds, which can sometimes be a problem here. That way it links straight to it. And Quiz Me, so that when they have the learning objectives, they can actually see what they understand and what they mix up. Like, this is true. It's not regular school hours. It's a common misconception. It's also a common misconception, right? What does NIIED stand for? These are things that are included in both the README and ViewMe. I don't want them to have to read both to go through the quizzes and the walkthroughs. So yeah, it's very straightforward. It's very simple, right? This is people from around the globe with all different experiences, but at the same time, I want them to feel connected to it, and I want them to feel heard as individuals and valued, so that they potentially stay longer, become experts themselves that can contribute more. So I hope everyone has an amazing holiday season.
Yeah, so that was TJ's video. TJ, I mean, this is a little bit of the theme of the last three. TJ also picked a new platform. She used Notion to do it, which was kind of a different thing, and she had some experience with that a little bit previously, but not in creating a website that also had these kind of learning aspects to it. So any feedback that anybody wants to share with TJ for the recording and to be shared after?
I think the time and space with her in the class was hard for me. because I was really interested in what she had to say, but it just felt like she was literally, I mean, she literally is a whole world away, right? So the feedback that I gave, I don't know if it had an impact, but now that I see that complete, it makes a lot more sense. Like I had a really hard time understanding what the concept was, but now that it's like, oh, we might not have the internet, or we need these 3 different ways. Like I like things hit over my head, and it wasn't hitting me, but that hit me over the head. That was good.
Yeah, the cultural piece jumped out at me a lot. I was like, it's just amazing how different school is there. And for these individuals who have experience in other school systems and then come in as native English teachers in Korea, that was really striking.
I just think it's such a great project, and I hope her hand is doing okay and everything. I love the videos, and I love touching, like, you know, every time we got to watch and see what she was up to. So hi, TJ, and it was so fun being in class with you this semester, and thank you for sharing. And it was great. I hope all is going well and healing and all of that good stuff. So.
Yeah, I will say, TJ, it's been educational for me, learning so much from you being out of the country. And like Adam was saying, just the different ways that school happens, and so many of the cultural things. So it was a great learning experience for me. And I think from your project, kind of what Kevin was saying, like out of context, it's hard to understand, like, why would you have all these PDFs? Don't people just access things on the internet? So I think that your project really jumped out to me of being responsive to your audience and really understanding the audience in the time that you've been there and how people interact with these types of things. And so that was really, I think, the biggest strength of the project. So thanks for sharing. And I didn't know you had surgery, but I hope that you're healing.
It seemed like she was starting to get on the mend. Yeah, she did something with her finger and it kind of threw everything off. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. It was an absolute wonderful joy working with all of you this semester. And I really appreciate you taking the time and the vulnerability to share your work with everyone. And it was really great to see how it evolved.
I just want to say thank you, Adam.
Yeah, thank you, Adam.
You were amazing support. You were an amazing support the entire semester. And I just feel like every time I hit a wall, you were just like, okay, here are options, and here's encouragement, and all your feedback. Oh my gosh. I'm copying and pasting some of that and putting it in my Google Docs for later. So it's so helpful. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought, you know, I had a hard time with this class a little bit. I think Adam and I talked. It just like I felt like I was on my own little space. You know, like I really tried to reach out, and you know, because I have almost 10 years of experience with doing this, some of my feedback during the semester was very direct. It was never meant to be intentionally harmful. It was just I really wanted everyone in this room and in this Zoom to really do a great job. And I would like to say thank you to Savion and Richard for taking my feedback and creating something. And I hope that it fosters a sense of community that we've all done this together, even though we really didn't hang out in real life. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much.
It's been a good semester.
Nikki, you too. I like your project too, and how I actually in one of my other class I was working with someone who was dealing with Rise, and and I told him what you were doing. His name is Brian, and then how they were all learning together, and he was showing it to me, and I was like, I don't have the bandwidth right now to understand any of this, but I know someone in my capstone who is, and I'm really glad you got to learn that because it's gonna be such a valuable tool for you.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you all and have a happy holiday season. And thank you for all of your work and energy this semester. It really shows.
All right, and if you're near Asbury Park, you all got free kayak passes.
Yeah, we're gonna totally go kayaking.
Yeah, all 15 of you, come down, come on. Your lake, here we go.
I'll be
Let's do
donating
that.
money if I come down. I don't want to do it for free if there's hunger on the line.
It's all good. Yeah. You know, again, like part of the humbling experience about a master's degree is the madness, right? The push to get it done and that sense of weird satisfaction you have when it's done. I'm very fortunate to have already done this process with a thesis, but this experience was so much better because it was better organized. I felt the class was better. And I'm just very thankful that I was here with everyone and that I even had a chance to share this. I never got any feedback from my thesis that I wrote 10 years ago. It's just paper here, you're done. I walked out. I'm like, what? I feel really good tonight. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Snaps all around.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Bye. See you
Happy
guys later.
holidays. Be well.
Bye. See you.